Good afternoon. We're going to go over the watch list for the week of the 28th. And first one is Humana. Down the right side is the hourly and the left side is the daily. The whole insurance sector has been up, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it pulls back this week. So that's Humana, UNH, and CI. But I get Humana up for this this watch list. And you can see on the hourly, we got head and shoulders. We got the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. And you can see here it dropped down and it retested the 20 EMA and is below the 30 SMA. So I'm expecting this to head and shoulders to play out. So on the daily, you can see that it's got a bunch of inside candles. It's consolidating. And I think under 286, you want to grab puts for a test of the 276 area to 272. That's what I think is going to happen on Humana or an insurance. I think it could possibly be choppy Monday and Tuesday because of we have FOMC on Wednesday. So SPY could be, the market could be choppy Monday and Tuesday because traditionally it usually is. And then the real move will happen Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday based on what happens with Powell and the rates. I'm sure Powell will say something that will scare the market because the market does not like him. So that is my reasoning for Humana. I think Humana is going to, if it does get below 286, it's going to dump down here. The next one is Nvidia. Let's see, let's get Nvidia up. And Nvidia, you know, it's consolidating a bunch of inside candles up here to 204. It's pretty far away from the 30 SMA, and I would be a bit surprised if it comes down, fills the gap, and retests the 198 area. I mean, when you see price action get far away from the moving averages, it likes to get sucked back into it. So I would think that it's gonna, if we can get below the 199, well, I won't even say the 199, let's go back to the hourly. If we can get below 203, I think it's going to come down to 198. So that's what I think is going to happen with Nvidia. I think it's going to reverse. Let's see. I have VRTX. Now, this one is really extended, and it has a rising wedge, and rising wedges are bearish, so I think if it can get below 193, it could pull back and down to the 190 area, possibly even down to the 188 where it gapped up. I also want to point out that the VRTX on options, the bid and ask is the spread's pretty wild, so I would be cautious getting into this if you do play it. You use the limit order and try to get midpoint or closer to the bid if you can. But as you can see on the daily, I mean it gapped up over this area right here, broke out. But usually what happens is when stocks break out, they like to come back and retest the former breakout area. So I would not be a bit surprised that if it comes down and does retest this 188 area, I think it will. So watch for that. We got Hone. I played that last week and got burned on puts because I called the reverse a little too early, but I still think it's going to, especially if it can get below this area right here, 171. If it gets below 171, as you can see on the daily, there's a lot of resistance in this 172 area, and usually what happens with Hone is that when it gets into heavy resistance, it just dives fast, and it's far away from the moving averages. It's gonna have to pull back, get some breathing air before, if it does go to make new highs, it's gonna let some air out. So I think that right here we see Home pull back this week to the probably 166, 167 area. So that's one I'll be watching below the 171. The other one is CAT. As you can see, CAT is right up here, right into the 140 area where it likes to dive. The last two times it was up there, so I'm expecting the same thing. I would think this is going to be a short. We can get below this 138.64. This is the hourly. We want to see it get below this little area right here. And it does, then we're going to see it drop down to 135. You retest this, maybe even 134 right here. So I think CAT's going to pull back to 134. It could possibly break out, but, you know, it depends on market conditions. I don't think it will. I mean, if it does, it will probably dive on Wednesday when Powell scares the market or something crazy. The other one is Apple. Now, a lot of people are going to get mad about this. And Apple is going to pull back this week. Yeah, it keeps making all-time highs, but you also got to remember from this point of view over here, it was going up hard on anticipation of earnings, and earnings hit and it dumped. I'm expecting the same thing to happen. The hype is getting up for earnings. When earnings get here, I think the earnings will be bad. If the earnings are good, the guidance will be bad, and I think that Apple is going to dump. So I think that, you know, I probably will grab puts on the Apple ER. If I don't on the ER, that I'll grab puts on the next day if it gaps up. Play the reaction. I think Apple's is gonna tank, and I'm sure that's gonna make a lot of people upset. But oh well, that's what it is. I mean, it did it once, it ran up, disappointed, and dumped, and I think it's gonna do the same thing. And if it does, I think 237, 233, even possibly this gap fill down to 230 is quite possible for Apple. So that's my take on Apple. And I have URI, which is United Rental, and it's, you know, in heavy resistance right now in the 136 area, and it does not like to stay above this area. It rejected it here, here, here. So I'm expecting, if it does happen to go up a little higher to like 137, it should pull back. So I'll be watching this, you know, below the 134.50 area for a pullback, and the target would be right around the 127. So a lot of support in here, 127, possibly even 124 if it gets the selling pressure picks up steam. So that's my take on URI. Now on the other side, for bullish sentiment, I'm looking at, you know, McDonald's. It had a nasty sell-off. It's got some support here in this 194 area, and I mean it's just gotten beaten the last few days. And we got McDonald's puts last week, and a lot of people banked a lot on that. So I'm looking for a reversal. So if we can get over 196, over this 196.20 area, I think it's got a shot to make to 198, even possibly 200. So I'll be watching any pop over this area on the hourly. It definitely needs to get over this 196 to 196.50 area to have a chance to reverse. So I would like to see a nice hourly bullish engulfing candle, and that will really will help out McDonald's and potentially for a reversal. And I think the reversal won't be too huge. I think we'll get, you know, I think at most we'll get to 200, then we'll probably let some air out and make a bigger run. So we also have BA. BA is in a symmetrical triangle on the hourly. Well, I guess you could say it's more of descending. Yeah, it's descending. So it could, you know, drop more. It could possibly even drop more to fill the gap to 333. But, you know, if it does happen to get over 345, I mean, it's got to run. It's got some room to get up to 364. So I'd be watching BA over 345 for a possible reversal. But it's going to be a risky play because it's in a wedge pattern. It could drop more down to 327. So I'd be very cautious about this. I think that if it does get over 345, this area right here, it's got a chance to get over the 350 and get up to the 366 area, 363 area. So that's a more risky play, but I think the chart is there. It does not like to stay underneath 350, 335. So every time it has, it's bounced hard. So I think that it could quite possibly bounce hard again. The other one is Hasbro. I think that's HAS. Yeah, Hasbro. Now, Hasbro in the daily 95 is a pretty good area for support, and you can see it wicked right here on the daily, and it's showing oversold conditions, but it's also showing overbought conditions on the hourly. So this could be very cautious too. I think that if it can get over to like 97, that it's got a chance to get up here and test the 102. But this is very risky as well, because even though it's getting conflicting looks on the daily and the hourly, but this wick at 95 on the daily looks pretty good, and it's already been down 4 days. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it reverses this week. If not this week, next week. So this is a one you want to watch. Is Hasbro for a reversal. And the other one is Netflix. Now, Netflix is showing like an inverted head and shoulders on the hourly. I mean, you got the left shoulder, the head, so if it gets over this 278 region, it's got room to run. I mean, it looks pretty good on the daily. It needs to get over, because it stalled out and closed right at the middle killer on the daily. So this inverted head and shoulders, I mean, suggests it could pop. So I would definitely be watching Netflix for a reversal this week. And the last one is Roku. And Roku, it's, you get like a bullish flag on the hourly, symmetrical wedge, if you want to say. You get here, you get it here. And if it breaks out of a 136, I mean, look at the daily. You get a cup and handle right here, and I was watching this on Friday. I saw that. I call it in the room. I didn't call the alert. I was saying that if it gets over the 130, what would I say? I think it was like 131 area to watch it, and it did, and it went up to 130, 134. I know a few people grabbed it in the room, but I didn't alert it because I wasn't paying attention. A lot of these, I will miss probably a lot of these. That's why I do watch lists, so you guys can grab what I miss. But I think Roku could possibly have a big move. If it gets over this 136, actually, yeah, 135 area, gets over 135, then it's going to go to 140, and if it breaks out over 140, it could have a huge pop into the 150s. But I don't want to buy and wait at 140, because once it gets into this area, I think a lot of people are going to see that cup and handle, and they're going to buy it. It's going to be hard to chase. It's going to pop big, and you'll be just chasing it. I'd rather buy it right in the 135, 136 area and get ahead of everybody else anticipating the cup and handle pop, and get a big portion of the move, because Roku moves so fast on breakouts. It's really hard, and you don't want to chase it. I'd rather get in and take a chance and be wrong than miss the big move. So that is it for the watch list for the week. This is a good time to be in the room. If you're not already in the room, the link is in the description. And we'll see how this week turns out. And there's going to be a lot of other big plays that happens throughout the week, and we'll keep an eye on those too. And that's it for the watch list. See ya.